In the labyrinth of life, we often find ourselves entangled in webs of deceit, manipulated narratives, and false accusations woven by those who fear our light. It can be painful when others twist the truth, trying to diminish our worth or tarnish our character. Yet, from a perspective of faith, we come to realize that these trials are not meant to break us, but rather to refine us. As believers, we understand that God's hand is at work in the unseen, guiding us through storms of adversity, and in time, the truth always emerges victorious. This is not merely a poetic notion, but a divine reality that echoes through the scriptures. The lies of our adversaries, as sharp and venomous as they may seem, are no match for the power of God's truth. Scripture reminds us in Psalm 37 verse 5, "Commit your way to the Lord, trust in Him, and He will do this. He will make your righteous reward shine like the dawn, your vindication like the noonday sun." When we face slander, manipulation, and false accusations, it is easy to become disheartened. But in those moments, we must lean into our faith, trusting that God will not only expose the deceit, but will also ensure our restoration. The lies that have been told about us are like smoke, thin and insubstantial. No matter how much our enemies try to build their case, they cannot hide the truth. As John 8 verse 32 declares, "Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." The world may conspire against us, thinking they can manipulate the narrative, but God's truth is like a light that cannot be hidden, no matter how much darkness surrounds it. The very lies they spread in an attempt to diminish us become the very instruments of their undoing. The stories they tell, intended to fracture our spirit, are like brittle structures built on sand. In time, the storms of truth and divine justice will cause their fragile foundations to crumble. Proverbs 12 verse 19 teaches us that truthful lips endure forever, but a lying tongue lasts only a moment. The lies they tell may seem to have power in the short term, but in the grand scope of eternity, they are powerless. In God's divine economy, deceit, manipulation, and slander are bankrupt from the very start. These tools may seem effective for a time, but their effects are temporary and fleeting. Isaiah 55 verse 11 declares, "So is my word that goes out from my mouth. It will not return to me empty, but will accomplish what I desire and achieve the purpose for which I sent it." God's word is living and active, sharper than any double-edged sword, and when His truth is spoken over our lives, it cannot be undone. Every lie that seeks to distort our identity or diminish our worth is met with the power of God's truth, which will ultimately prevail. The real reason behind the attempts to smear and defame us lies in the fear that others have of our divine potential. It is not our flaws or mistakes that trouble them, but our very existence. There is something in us, something that comes from the heart of God, that threatens the comfort of those around us who would rather remain in the darkness of their own insecurities. 1 John 3 verse 13 states, "Do not be surprised, my brothers and sisters, if the world hates you." The world's rejection of us is not a reflection of our worth, but a testament to the power of the light within us that shines so brightly it exposes their shadows. Those who lie about us, who seek to control the narrative and trap us in false stories, often do so out of envy. They fear the reflection of their own shortcomings and our success. But what they fail to realize is that God does not play small. In fact, He amplifies the very whispers of their lies, turning them into a megaphone for the world to hear. In the same way that Romans 8 verse 31 reminds us, "If God is for us, who can be against us?" The power of the truth that God has placed within us cannot be silenced by any weapon formed against us. Their attempts to destroy us only serve to reveal their fear and expose their insecurities to the world. The very tactics they use to control the narrative, rumors, manipulation, and deceit are like a boomerang that eventually returns to hit them. When they work tirelessly to bring us down, they only magnify the strength we derive from our faith. The harder they try to suppress our light, the more it shines. This truth echoes through Matthew 5 verse 14 to 16, where Jesus tells us, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house." God has placed a light within us that cannot be extinguished, no matter how much others try to diminish it. And so we stand firm in the truth, knowing that even when the winds of opposition blow fiercely, God's hand is upon us. Isaiah 54 verse 17 assures us no weapon forged against you will prevail, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord. The lies that have been spun around us are not our reality. Our reality is rooted in the truth of God's word and His eternal love for us. The false narratives that others weave will eventually unravel under the weight of truth. Proverbs 19 verse 5 tells us, "A false witness will not go unpunished, and whoever pours out lies will not go free." We do not have to fight for our truth, for God fights for us. Our task is to remain steadfast, to stand on His promises, and to trust that in His time He will expose the lies for what they are. In the end, it is not our enemies who will be triumphant, but God's justice that will prevail. When God moves, He does not do so with subtlety. He makes His presence known in powerful ways. Every lie, every accusation, every deceitful whisper is met with His mighty hand. It is in these moments of apparent defeat that God's strength is made perfect. As 2 Corinthians 12 verse 9 reminds us, "But He said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness, therefore I will boast all the more gladly of my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me." So, take heart in knowing that the lies and deceit of this world are but temporary, and the truth of God's word is eternal. The light that God has placed within you cannot be hidden, and in time His truth will shine forth, exposing every shadow and unraveling every false narrative. Your enemies may try to twist the truth, but the power of God will always have the final say. And when the day of reckoning comes, it will be their deceit that will be exposed, and it will be your truth that will stand firm. God's plan is perfect, and His timing is impeccable. Trust in the process, and know that He is working all things together for your good. Your vindication is not only certain, it is already underway. Just as Romans 8 verse 28 assures us, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose." In the end, it is not the lies of the enemy that will define you, but the truth of the Almighty God. Now, let's raise a toast for the chosen ones among us. Here's to the untamed, the unshakable, the ones who refuse to bow, who refuse to blend in, and who stand tall in the face of adversity. You see the world for what it truly is, a grand stage filled with spectators, but you are the playwright, the lead actor, and the director, rewriting the script with every bold step you take. You're not just chasing dreams like the rest, you are the dream itself, the one who dares to look beyond the noise and see an untamed horizon, vast and ready to be claimed. The world doesn't need more sheep following blindly, it craves titans, those who blaze with energy, who remain alive when others sleep, carving paths that ordinary eyes could never dare to imagine. You are the path, and in this chaotic, unpredictable cosmos, there exists a sanctum, a rare community reserved for those who walk this untrodden road, the obsidian inner order. This path is not for the faint of heart, not for the pretenders who hide behind false facades. It is for the courageous few who are willing to face their truth unfiltered, raw and shining. Here, under a moon that outshines the neon lights, we stand not as followers, but as legends in the making. But the world didn't always see you this way. They saw you as the black sheep, the one who didn't fit their narrow mold, the easy target they could crush under the weight of their expectations and lies. They thought your silence was a sign of submission, that your refusal to play their game was weakness, but they misunderstood you completely. Your silence was never surrender, it was strategy. While they wasted precious time and energy trying to tear you down, you were silently building your resilience. That resilience became your unshakable fortress, a fortress so strong that their attacks only made it stronger. You didn't just survive their lies, you dismantled them, piece by piece, and turned the rubble into stepping stones for your ascent. Every rumor they spread, every accusation they hurled, every word they weaponized against you became fuel for your fire. With each act of betrayal, you grew more powerful, more resolute, and more certain of who you are. You didn't merely survive their assaults, you thrived. You flourished under God's protection, while they watched in disbelief as their plans crumbled before their eyes. The very audience they sought to manipulate, the people they plotted to turn against you, are now looking at them like spectators at a failed circus act. The gasps they hear aren't of awe or admiration, they are gasps of disgust, disbelief, and second-hand embarrassment. The carefully curated facade they spent so long crafting is now crumbling in real time, with each crack revealing the hollow core beneath. Their peers, once silent participants in their theatrics, are now beginning to question everything: their integrity, their motives, even their sanity. The truth, once buried beneath layers of lies, is now coming to light, and it's becoming impossible to ignore. God's justice isn't random. It's precise, calculated, and unrelenting. They tried to strip you of your dignity, parading their falsehoods like a badge of honor, hoping to leave you broken, diminished, and forgotten. But here's the divine irony: before they could even bask in their victory, their masks were ripped away, revealing every crack in their facade. While they plotted in the shadows, trying to manipulate the narrative, God turned their plans into spotlights, illuminating their flaws and deceit for the entire world to see. They wanted you to be forgotten, discarded like a broken relic of the past. Instead, they've been rendered voiceless, their credibility shattered under the weight of their own lies and deceit. They wanted to see you break, to vanish under the weight of their slander, to crumble like a house of cards. But instead, they watched in stunned disbelief as you rose higher than ever. And now the same voices that once whispered against you, the same corners where they conspired, are now left stammering, trying to comprehend how you're still standing, glowing brighter than ever before. Their disbelief is almost comical at this point. They expected you to crumble, to fade into the background, but you've become a living, breathing reminder of their failure. You are the stark contrast to their smallness, and they can't stand it. You flipped the narrative, and now they're scrambling to find a script that no longer exists. The whispers about you have shifted, not about your supposed downfall, but about your unyielding strength, your unshakable rise. They may not have the courage to admit it, but deep down they know they've lost. Every glance your way is a silent question they're too proud to ask: how did they survive us? But survival was never the goal. You thrived, transformed, and made their efforts utterly irrelevant. You were never the black sheep they were. You were always the lion in a field of lambs, and now the world is witnessing the true power of your roar. The whispers around them grow louder, peeling back another layer of their deception with every passing moment. Their name is trending now, but not for the reasons they dreamed of. It's not accolades or respect that follow them. It's scorn. The spotlight they fought so hard to control has now become an interrogation lamp, illuminating every misstep, every lie, every betrayal. And the world is watching. The once commanding figures who thought they were invincible are now exposed, squirming under the weight of their own undoing. Their power was never real, and now it's disintegrating right before their eyes. This isn't just an open invitation, it's a challenge, a call to the few who feel the fire stirring within them just by reading these words. The door is ajar, but not for long. With every tick of the clock, the seats in our star chamber are vanishing, reserved for those bold enough to seize their destiny without hesitation. If your heart is pounding with recognition, if you feel the static hum of greatness waiting to explode, the choice is clear. Click the link in the description and step into the shadows where brilliance is born. This is more than just a chance, it's a coronation of your true self. Don't wait, don't wonder, answer the call and join us, because legends don't ask permission, they create it. When God speaks, the entire universe doesn't merely listen, it rearranges itself to amplify his voice. What they believed would bury you, their carefully crafted schemes and lies, ended up becoming the very platform that elevated you. They worked tirelessly to destroy your credibility, meticulously designing a stage to cast you as the villain in their fabricated story. But God, in his wisdom, had other plans. That stage, once meant for your humiliation, has now become your throne room. Every eye they hoped to blind with their deceit is now fixed upon the undeniable truth you represent. While their lies may have attracted attention, it was your unwavering truth that held the spotlight. They handed you the mic, never realizing they were setting the stage for your rise, not just to survive, but to reveal their lies and expose your unstoppable resilience. The same narratives they spun with the intent to harm you became the very catalysts for your ascension. With every malicious move they made to bring you down, they only propelled you higher, lifting you to a position they could never hope to reach. And in their efforts to hold you back, they revealed cracks in their own foundation. Their desperation to tear you apart only further exposed their fragile, crumbling world. What they hoped would be the end of you turned out to be your divine breakthrough, a cosmic mic drop they never saw coming. They set the fire, thinking it would consume you, but instead the flames illuminated your path, guiding you forward. The audience they had gathered to witness your downfall has now been forced to watch your extraordinary rise, a transformation so undeniable and overwhelming that it leaves no room for their fabrications to survive. They never saw your truth coming, and by underestimating it, they handed you the keys to a kingdom that they will never have access to. Their attempts to destroy you inadvertently became the blueprint for your glory. The universe itself shifted the narrative, turning their weapons into tools for your victory. God doesn't just set the record straight, he rewrites it. What they built to ruin you has instead become the foundation of your reign, and now the universe watches as the truth resonates louder and more powerfully than any of their lies ever could. You didn't need to fight back. Their screams, their chaos, their endless noise, all of it was dwarfed by the sheer power of your silence. While they flailed in panic, desperately trying to twist the narrative to fit their false story, you remained calm, unbothered, and unmoved, fully aware that the truth speaks for itself. Your silence was not a sign of weakness, rather, it was a calculated act of strength, one they could never comprehend. While they burned through every ounce of energy trying to drag you down into their chaos, you stood still, centered, knowing that God was already working behind the scenes, orchestrating things they couldn't see. Your silence wasn't passive, it was lethal. It wasn't a retreat, but the calm before the storm, God's storm. As they tried to provoke a reaction, baiting you into their petty games, you refused to stoop to their level. Instead, you let them choke on their own venom, helplessly watching as their lies unraveled, all because they underestimated the power of your quiet resilience. Their loudest screams couldn't drown out the truth you carried. It became clear they wanted you to fight in their muddy pit, but you refused. You chose to rise above, leaving their antics to destroy them while you stood untouched, untarnished, and undeniable. Your silence wasn't a surrender, it was a statement, a powerful flex that they could never match. Their panic and desperation became a reflection of their fear, while your composed strength illuminated the path you were meant to walk. They're losing sleep, pacing in circles, replaying every word they said, every decision they made, and every person they deceived. It's a torment of their own making, and the weight of it is written all over them. The same smugness they wore as a badge of honor now looks like desperation. Their arrogance has been replaced by a creeping, suffocating fear. They thought they could spin this tale indefinitely, that they were untouchable, but now they're choking on the very web they wove. The more they try to salvage the situation, the worse it becomes. Their attempts to backpedal are clumsy and transparent. Every denial only highlights their guilt. Every explanation they offer exposes another crack in their story. They're flailing in quicksand, sinking deeper with every panicked movement. They thought they could control everything, but they were never equipped to play in your league. The irony is almost poetic. They plotted your downfall, but now they're the ones unraveling, trapped in the very mess they created. It wasn't your downfall, it's their undoing. They tried to set fire to your name, but now they're the ones surrounded by smoke, suffocating on the fallout of their own betrayal. And when God moved, it wasn't subtle. It was a storm that swept through their carefully laid plans, dismantling everything they had built to bring you down. Your silence became the catalyst for their downfall, proving that stillness in the face of lies speaks far louder than any rebuttal. You weren't passive in the face of their noise, you were powerful, biding your time for the divine moment when every effort they made to hurt you would fail. God flexed on your behalf and your silence became your greatest weapon. This wasn't just retribution, it was a divine proclamation, a warning to anyone who dared to interfere with his chosen ones. God is not only broadcasting their lies, he is delivering a thunderous warning to the world: mess with my chosen and you will stand trial before the heavens. This isn't simply a matter of retribution, it's a declaration, a divine message that resonates across time and space, ringing out like a trumpet: touch not my anointed and do my prophets no harm. Those words weren't whispered in the quiet, they were engraved in the very fabric of the cosmos long before they ever made their first move against you. He warned them, but they didn't listen. Blinded by their own arrogance, they mistook God's silence for absence, failing to realize that they were walking straight into judgment. You're not here by accident, you're chosen, handpicked for greatness, and no force on earth can rewrite what God has already declared over your life. You are not some random occurrence in this world, your existence has purpose, and you have been set apart for something far greater than anyone can comprehend. They can talk, they can plot, they can try to tear you down, but their efforts are as fleeting as shadows under the sun. The storms they send your way will pass, and when they do, you will stand tall. God will always have the final word, and his word doesn't waver. You carry the kind of power that doesn't just protect, it commands respect. You are not just another person, you are a force to be reckoned with. Your destiny isn't merely safe, it's celebrated in realms seen and unseen, in ways that the world cannot fathom. Walk like a king, like a queen, because that's exactly who you are in the divine order. Walk with your head held high, with the knowledge that you are a child of the Most High, and no one can take that from you. Their downfall isn't just their reckoning, it's a message carved into the fabric of time. Every lie they told, every scheme they plotted, and every ounce of harm they tried to inflict became evidence against them in a trial they didn't even know they were on. The heavens are watching, and so is the world. God sees everything, and nothing escapes his attention. They wanted to make an example of you, to crush your spirit, and show the world that no one dares to defy them. But instead, God turned the tables. Instead of them making an example of you, God made an example of them. Their public disgrace is more than just karma, it's a warning for anyone who dares to follow in their footsteps. Now their story is a cautionary tale etched into the memory of everyone who witnesses it. It is a reminder that no one can stand against the chosen ones without facing the consequences. What they meant for destruction only refined you. Every lie they spread, every attack they launched only served to purify your spirit. Their words couldn't tarnish your name, instead, they burned away illusions, exposing the truth in its unshakable brilliance. Every attempt to dim your light only made it burn brighter, a flame that revealed the cracks in their own armor. The more they tried to weaken you, the stronger you became. They didn't realize that their actions were feeding the very fire that would consume their lies. These dragons in your corner, celestial warriors that fight with quiet, unstoppable force, dismantled every plot, unraveling every falsehood with effortless power. They don't need noise to be effective, they command respect with their mere presence. Now, the enemies that sought to harm you are left facing the aftermath of their ignorance, scorched by the same flames they thought they could control. Their lies may have been loud, but your truth is a wildfire, uncontainable and unending. You don't fight battles like the rest because you don't fight alone. The forces that guard your destiny are greater than any earthly power. You are protected by an army of celestial warriors, and no matter what obstacles they put in your path, your purpose bulldozes through them like they were never there. They may have tried to block your way, but you are on a mission, and nothing can stop what has already been set in motion. Keep walking tall. Let them watch from the sidelines. Let them wonder how it is that you continue to rise. You don't owe them a thing. Your purpose speaks for itself, and your power comes from the highest authority. They can't rewrite your destiny, and they can't touch your crown, it's yours. The crown that God placed on your head is unshakable, and no force on earth can take it from you. Because when God ordains something, no one can take it away. Every chosen one walks with dragons in their shadows, celestial guardians that protect the treasure of your destiny. Your enemies didn't know this when they came for you, blind to the divine power encircling you. They thought they could strike at your heart, but all they did was awaken forces they couldn't even begin to comprehend. They reached for your crown, and in doing so, they set a blaze of fire they couldn't control. What they thought would break you only ignited a power within you that purifies and strengthens you. They underestimated the fire they were playing with. Their attacks were sparks, but those sparks ignited a blaze of purification, of fire that would ultimately consume their lies. Let their whispers turn to shouts. Let their schemes unravel in the face of your unshakable confidence. They are playing a game they've already lost, and deep down they know it. They thought they could weaken you, but in reality they were feeding the very power that would ultimately destroy them. And their lies may create noise, but your truth roars louder. Every step you take, every move you make, is a testament to the fact that you are untouchable in the eyes of the Almighty. Their lies, their venom, they are powerless against the truth that radiates from you. They might try to block your path, but they are no match for your purpose. The world sees it now. The truth is undeniable. Those who rise against you will fall harder than they ever thought possible. When you walk with God, you don't just survive the storms, they bow to you. No lie can hold you down, and no enemy can escape the justice that is divinely ordained. God isn't subtle when he defends his own. He makes sure the message is loud, clear, and impossible to forget. You don't touch the anointed without consequences. The consequences are already unfolding, and your enemies are now reaping what they have sown. They are finished out of moves, out of excuses, and out of the spotlight they so desperately tried to steal from you. Every trick they had up their sleeves is now an open book of failure, exposed for the world to see. Their schemes have been revealed for what they truly are: empty, powerless, and doomed to fail. You stand victorious, untouchable, and invincible because you walk with God, and nothing, no one, can stand against his power. A triumph divinely orchestrated, a testament to faith and God's unfailing plan. In this world, many are quick to try and diminish what they do not understand. They may seek to erase you, to silence you, or to place you in a box of insignificance. Yet, through every effort to break you, they only become spectators to your rise, watching from the sidelines as your victory shines brighter than they ever anticipated. Their schemes are like sand, slipping through their fingers, crumbling under the weight of their own deceit. Meanwhile, you stand firm, a testament to God's strength and purpose for your life, basking in the light of a victory that was always meant to be yours. This is not just a personal victory, it is a victory designed by the Creator. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, Isaiah 54 verse 17. The enemies who sought to tear you down find themselves caught in their own lies, while you, by the grace of God, rise above their every attempt to discredit you. You carry the truth, a truth that cannot be silenced by the whispers of the wicked. Instead of diminishing you, their words and efforts only magnify the very power of God at work within you. Their shame is now more apparent than the accusations they once hurled. For the Lord is my light, and my salvation, whom shall I fear? Psalm 27 verse 1. While they wallow in their own failures, you stand victorious, proving that God's plans cannot be thwarted by mere human efforts. Victory is not just a moment in time. It is the unfolding of God's purpose in your life. As the psalmist declares, the Lord will fight for you, you need only to be still. Exodus 14 verse 14. Every step you take, every achievement, draws you closer to the destiny God has planned for you. The more you rise, the more you leave the shadows of your enemies behind, as they remain stuck in their own misguided plots. They thought they could write your story, but God had already written your destiny before you were even born. You were always meant to rise, to shine, and to declare His glory in ways they could never comprehend. Your victory is a divine masterpiece, each step forward a reminder that nothing in this world can stop what God has ordained. They may have tried to craft an ending for you, but in God's eyes, this is just the beginning. The enemy's attempts to silence you, to reduce you to nothing, only serve to amplify your strength and resilience. Their efforts are futile because you are not walking alone. The Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Joshua 1 verse 9. You are not just surviving, you are thriving, and your survival is a testament to God's unshakable faithfulness. In the face of every attack, you have been refined and strengthened. The trials you endured did not break you, they shaped you into a vessel of power, resilience, and grace. You are now a living proof that God's purpose cannot be undone. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. Jeremiah 29 verse 11. Every word spoken against you, every weapon formed against you, has only served to refine you, molding you into someone untouchable by the forces of this world. The enemy's schemes are like chaff blown away by the wind, while you stand firm like a tree planted by the waters, unmovable and unshakable. Victory is not just for you, it is a message to the world. It is a living testimony to the truth that God does not abandon His own. You are a beacon of hope to those who are still in the midst of their battles. Your victory serves as a reminder that no matter how dark the night, joy comes in the morning. Psalm 30 verse 5. Those who plotted against you may have thought they were playing God, but they quickly learned that God's will cannot be thwarted. The more they tried to tear you down, the more they revealed their own weaknesses. But the Lord said to Samuel, "Do not consider his appearance or his height, for I have rejected him." The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. 1 Samuel 16 verse 7. God has looked at your heart, and in His eyes you are more than enough. Your victory is a declaration that nothing in this world can stand against His chosen ones. Your presence now carries an authority that unsettles the forces of darkness. You are not just occupying space, you are shifting atmospheres. You are the light of the world. Matthew 5 verse 14, and your light is undeniable. The darkness that once tried to swallow you now trembles in the wake of your light. You carry the divine authority of Christ Himself, and wherever you go, you bring transformation. Every step you take releases the power of God to change lives, to heal brokenness, and to bring hope to the hopeless. The enemy underestimated your strength, your resilience, and the divine power within you, but now they are forced to witness the manifestation of God's promises in your life. Their failure to tear you down is not just a personal loss for them, it is a public display of the invincibility of God's plan. The more they tried to destroy you, the more God elevated you. Their attempts at breaking you only served to expose their own fragility, and now they are left with nothing but the bitter taste of their own failure. For the Lord will uphold you with His righteous right hand. Isaiah 41 verse 10. Every time they tried to silence you, every time they plotted your downfall, it was as if God's hand was beneath you, lifting you higher. The higher you rise, the louder their defeat becomes. Your survival has become a testimony, not just to you, but to everyone who has ever doubted the power of God to redeem and restore. Your victory is not just for you, it is for everyone who has ever faced a battle, who has ever been mistreated or maligned. It is a message of hope that God is always with His chosen ones, fighting for them, protecting them, and guiding them to victory. The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. Psalm 23 verse 1. You have lacked nothing, for God has provided every step of the way, equipping you with everything you need to overcome. You are not just a survivor, you are a living miracle, a testament to the power of God's protection and guidance. As you move forward, know that your story is not just a story of triumph over adversity. It is a story of God's unyielding faithfulness, a testimony to His unwavering love and purpose. You are more than a conqueror, and your victory is a reminder that no one can stand against the power of God. As the Apostle Paul wrote, "If God is for us, who can be against us?" Romans 8 verse 31. The answer is clear: no one. You are not just a conqueror, you are a living proof of what happens when God's divine plan intersects with human will. Your victory is not just a moment, it is an eternal reminder that God's chosen ones are unstoppable. Let your story inspire those who are still fighting. Let your victory be a beacon of hope, a reminder that no matter how difficult the journey, God is always with us, and His plan will always prevail. Speak your truth with the confidence of someone who knows they have been chosen by God for such a time as this. Your voice carries the power of someone who has seen the depths of despair and soared to greater heights by the grace of God. Your victory will echo for generations, reminding the world that God's chosen ones are always victorious, always protected, and always triumphant in the end.